I think the area that still is outstanding is how do you measure hallucinations on the generative side? And that's really a point that is very much in active research.
Is that something you can measure outside of a human just saying, hey, that's not real?
To some extent, yes. So there's some interesting benchmarks that have kind of gone around, and not to make this too politically charged, but like there are answers that are very difficult to actually say yes or no because it might depend on who you are. So an example that I saw recently in one of these benchmarks is Taiwan an independent country?
Oh yeah. Ooh, talk about charged.
If it responds yes, is that a hallucination? If it responds no, is that a hallucination? It obviously depends very much on your background, your political leanings, and so on.
Well, especially in like a religious context too. You know, if you ask it certain questions, you're going to get 3,000 different answers, right? Based on even just Christianity alone. So,
But it could answer, I mean, it could just give you factual answers like Taiwan's not a member of the United Nations.
And that's where a lot of these things are coming out, is like they, you see the best scored ones as they have an independent government, and there's a lot of contention as to whether they should be considered an independent country or not, right? And that's not directly answering your question, right? It's but maybe that's for the best.
Well, I mean, we would just say the UN doesn't recognize them as an independent country, so.
well, it's almost like I think we need some kind of universal way to measure the truth, which is going to be really, really hard to get to if possible at all. And then for this stuff, there has to be a way.
But Steve, what if truth is relative?
I mean, right now it kind of feels like it is.
One of the things that we're really focused on is, rather than trying to create a generative system that attempts to answer those types of questions, like those are, I think that at least for the time being, those are going to be fraught with failure. It's going to be really hard to come up with something that is truly universal truth. And so the sort of emerging architecture that a lot of these generative systems on generative text are talking about anyway is what's called Retrieval Augmented Generation, or you sometimes see the abbreviation RAG thrown around, which is, hey, I'm not going to try to craft an answer from just the large language model. Instead, I'm going to perform a search, which is how I've gotten into this. Perform a search on the information that is contained within some sort of index or corpus, and use that as the basis for the answer. And I'm only going to use the large language model to actually craft the text or to reinterpret the text that has come back from retrieval. And that's where we're sort of focused on, is that still in some cases hallucinating or not?